Hello there everyone, it's Nina. Thanks so much for joining me today for our Art Impressions STAMPtember 2021 collaboration reveal. This adorable stamp set is so cute. I just love these two women with their coffee mugs because I'm a coffee lover, so this set totally spoke to me the minute I saw it. And just the fun and playful feel of Art Impressions sets. Art Impressions is an amazing brand and they constantly come out with such adorable imagery. So I'm really excited to share this project that I created today for you using this collaboration set. So this stamp set is Hug in a Mug. I used that sentiment on my card just because it was so fitting. So this stamp set comes with the women, lots of really fun and cheeky greetings, and the best part, which is one of the things I love about Art Impressions products, is that their stamp sets come with the images already pre-colored. So it gives you a great guide for how to actually color these images. So I'm going to stamp these two women onto some Simon Says Stamp 120-pound cardstock using Simon's Intense Black ink. It's a great ink for a variety of coloring mediums, including watercolors, Copic markers, which is what I'm going to be using today in my project. So I stamped it so that I get a really nice crisp impression, and I'm going to start coloring. Now, like I said, because Art Impressions packaging actually comes with the images already pre-colored, it's a great guide. So I'm using that as inspiration for the coloring that I'm adding onto my stamped image. Now, I altered it a little bit, trying to change it up to make it my own, but at the same time, having that pre-colored guide off to the side there was really helpful. It was a great way for me to be able to look at the stamp set and kind of get an idea of which direction I wanted to go for my coloring. So like I said, I used very similar shades to what is on the stamp set packaging, and then just added or adjusted colors based off of the card that I was going to end up creating for today's video. If you are interested in the exact Copic colors that I used today, I do have them linked below in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube. So definitely check that out. It's a really helpful resource to be able to know exactly which shades I used if you're interested in knowing and wanting to recreate exactly what I've done here. Now, one of the things I really loved about this particular image was how fun and playful it was. So you have these women dressed up in these really chunky sweaters, really cute, drinking their coffee, or maybe it's hot cocoa. Whatever it is, it's a really cozy image. So the colors I'm using are more wintry. They're not Christmas necessarily, but very wintry. I pulled out some dusty pinks, some teals, some blues, lots of brown for that cocoa coffee feel. And once I have all the images actually colored in, that's when I'll go ahead and go back through with a white gel pen and actually add some detail. Because if you noticed on the packaging, the images had some extra detail to them that aren't actually part of the stamp. And that's what's fun about an image like this, is that you can customize it to make it exactly as your own. A lot of the designers that are participating in creating some inspiration for this Art Impression set got really creative in adding extra details to these images. And that's one of the things that I was excited to do too, was to be able to add some little details on the sweaters, maybe some cute highlights on the mugs. White gel pens are so much fun to be able to use when you're coloring an image like this because you get to customize things. You could also use other colors too. I opted mostly for white gel pen for the details, but you could totally swap out the white gel pen for black or other colors. So once I had my image completely colored, I did bring in some glossy accents. And that's because on all the white areas of the hats, you can notice I didn't color all of the hats completely. That's because I'm covering those white areas with this glossy accents, which is a clear adhesive, and then I'm going to bring in clear rock candy and Distress Mica flakes. And I'm going to sprinkle these, not dump, sprinkle this glitter and the mica flakes over top of that glue. The sprinkling makes it more random, and it gives this a bit more of a natural feel. If I dumped the entire bottle of Distress Clear Rock Candy over top of the glue, then I wouldn't have had any glue left over to be able to add the mica flakes. So when you sprinkle, it gives you that chance to be able to add extra glitter touches, and I really love that look. So I do that often with glitter. I usually will sprinkle instead of dump, and I really like the subtle texture it provides. So I used my fine tip scissors to fussy cut this image out, and then I'm going to go ahead and pop this up off of my card. Before I do that though, I did want to show you what I did with a white gel pen. So look at the stamped image. You can see that there's some detail on the sweaters, on the mugs. I decided to draw in some stripes on the red sweater here. And then for the sweater on the right, I wanted to add some polka dots. I love polka dots. Now I could have gone ahead and added the deco detail that's on the sweater, but I just think polka dots are so much fun. Plus, they pair perfectly with this pattern paper that I'm using to add as the background for my card base. But I'm going to step this pattern paper up. It's a bokeh pattern, really pretty, really fun, but it's a little more plain, and I wanted to pull in more coffee elements to this card than just having the women holding their coffee mugs. So I pulled out our Simon Says Stamp blush ink and our coffee drinks stencil. I added a little bit of blush through that stencil. Then I pulled in some ground espresso, perfectly coffee themed, distress ink on top of that blush. So this is creating a very warm blush color. Because I don't have the perfect color of ink, you can totally layer and create your own custom color. And that's what I love about dye inks, is because they're slightly transparent, you can totally mix things together and create new looks. So by mixing blush and ground espresso, I totally got the perfect color for my background. So that background I cut down to a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card. Check out how that totally awesome coffee drink stencil looks with that bokeh pattern. Really cool. Now also really cool is the brand new Distress Mica stain from Tim Holtz. I'm using the Winter Berry color. Oh, it's so pretty. It's a beautiful pink. I'm going to splatter this onto the background. Perfect color combo with this pattern paper. Then I'm going to pull in Distress Spray Stain and splatter that over top too. I love splatters. Maybe you don't love them as much as I do. I go crazy over splatters. So maybe I'm adding a little more than you would, but totally play with it the way you want. I thought the splatters added the perfect extra texture to this background. Now I'm pulling out this KINLEY Snowflake die. It's a die from Simon Says Stamp that came out last year or the year before. And I love this snowflake die. It's very modern, and all the round dots that were on it just made me think of that bokeh pattern that we're working with for our background. So I thought this would pair perfectly. I die cut it 3 times. I did trim a couple of them down so that they were going to tuck nicely behind the 2 women here. I used Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue to add some adhesive to the back side of the snowflakes. I only added it to the center because if you add it to the center, it allows the outer edges to have some relief off of the background. Makes it feel dimensional without actually making it dimensional. Then for some dimension, I did pop the 2 ladies up off of my card base with some foam tape. So not a ton of dimension here. This is 1 layer of foam tape on top of these snowflakes, which are adhered down with liquid glue. Not a super bulky card. I did decide afterwards that I wanted to add some twine. Had I been thinking about it, I probably would have actually made a side folding card instead of a top folding, but I decided to add the twine at the last minute. So I just made a slit in the top of my top folding A2 card so that I could tie this around the front of my card. Like I said, if I had made a side fold card, I could have totally just wrapped this around here and wouldn't have had to have made the slit. So anyway, it's not a big deal. Easy fix. However, if you are going to recreate this card exactly, I would totally suggest you make a side fold card because it's a lot easier. So I tied that twine into a little bow. This is Lawn Fawn twine. Such a pretty teal color. It matched the color that I used in the women imagery perfectly. That hug and a mug greeting, perfect namesake for the stamp set. I'm going to use that as my greeting. Like I said, I loved the name of the stamp set so much, and since there was a sentiment that said hug and a mug, I couldn't resist. I'm going to stamp that onto some Simon Says Stamp brown cardstock with embossing ink. I am going to then add white embossing powder over top of that and heat set it so that I have a really nice bright white greeting on top of this brown cardstock. Once I have the sentiment embossed, I did fussy cut it out so it had a little bit of like a shadow outline to it, almost as if you die cut it. And then I popped that up on top of my card. The last finishing touch, yes, there is one more thing that I added onto this card, was a few gems from Honeybee Stamps and some moonshine sequins from Simon. These are white, clearish kind of sequins, so they really had just mostly texture to this card. Doesn't really take away from the rest of the design, but it has just enough sparkle that it makes the card extra special. So that's my card today using the Art Impressions STAMPtember 2021 collaboration set, which is Hug in a Mug. The cutest ever Art Impressions set. I'm a huge Art Impressions fan, and this set is totally a heart winner for me. I love it. I hope you love it as much as I do. Don't forget, this stamp set is limited edition. So if you love it, you definitely want to grab it while supplies last, because once it's gone, it is gone. Just like all of our other STAMPtember collaboration sets. So don't miss out. It's a good one, and I think you're going to love creating some winter and fall themed cards using this adorable Hug in a Mug set. Thanks again for tuning in today. If you enjoyed, I hope you'll give this video a big thumbs up. And don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel because we have even more STAMPtember inspiration to share with you. So much is going to be happening over the next month, and you don't want to miss anything. So make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you are always constantly in the know for what's happening. Thanks again for tuning in. I will be back very, very, very soon with more to share with you. But until next time, I hope everyone has a very wonderful day. Bye!